So, today we're going to talk about something that's really shaking up how schools think about student behavior. It's a framework called PBIS, and at its core, it's all about one powerful idea, focusing on prevention instead of just reaction.
Okay, so to really get why this is such a big deal, let's start with a scene I'm sure we can all picture. Imagine a classroom. It's getting kind of late in the day. Everyone's a little restless. And then, a spitball goes flying across the room.
And what happens next? Well, it's pretty much what you'd expect. The teacher sees it, gets frustrated, and that student is sent straight to the principal's office. That's the classic playbook, right? It's how schools have dealt with stuff like this for, well, forever.
But what if that whole scene just didn't have to happen? What if the goal wasn't just to punish the action, but to stop it from ever happening in the first place?
And that's exactly where this whole different approach comes into play. It's called PBIS, which stands for Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports. And really, the most important word there is supports.
So what is this thing really? Well, think of PBIS like an operating system for the entire school, and it applies to every student. It's not some special treatment or therapy. It's a whole framework designed to create a positive, safe environment by getting out ahead of problems before they even start.
And this right here, this is the absolute core idea that makes PBIS tick. It looks at behavior as a skill that you can actually teach. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't throw a kid into an algebra class and just expect them to get it without teaching them first, right? PBIS says we should treat social skills exactly the same way.
So, when you put these two models side by side, the difference is just night and day. The traditional way is all about reacting. A kid misbehaves, punishment follows. Simple. But PBIS completely flips that script. It's proactive. It's about teaching the good behavior from day one and stepping in at the very first sign of trouble.
Okay, so this whole proactive thing, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. It's built on a really specific set of beliefs about students and how they behave. So let's kind of dig into the philosophy that's driving all this.
You know, at the very heart of PBIS is this idea that behavior isn't just who you are. It's something you learn. And that one belief powers the whole system. It's all about catching things early and making sure the support fits the kid. You might hear people talk about 3 tiers of support. And all that really means is you have broad strategies for everyone, a little more help for small groups, and then some really focused one-on-one support for the kids who need it most. And here's the key. All of it, every decision, is based on actual data and research, not just a gut feeling.
All right, so that's the theory. Sounds pretty good, right? But what does this actually look like when the bell rings and kids are in the hallway? Let's break down how this philosophy turns into a real day-to-day process.
Well, it's kind of like a cycle. First, you're not just assuming kids know how to act in the cafeteria or on the bus, you're teaching them, sometimes even with role-playing. Then, and this is huge, the staff are constantly on the lookout for kids doing the right thing, and they praise them for it. Next, teachers are trained to spot the little signs of trouble and step in early before things blow up. And finally, the school is always looking at the data to see what's working and what's not, and they adjust their game plan based on those results. Okay, let's circle all the way back. Remember our student with the spitball? How would that scene have been different in a school that uses PBIS?
So instead of just reacting to the final act, a teacher using PBIS might see that student getting fidgety, kind of antsy, maybe looking for a reaction. And before the spitball even gets made, they can step in. Maybe they give the student a small job to do, or just a quick positive check-in. It's about seeing the need behind the behavior, not just the behavior itself. So, a proactive, supportive system? I mean, it sounds amazing, but let's get to the bottom line here. Does this stuff actually work? What do the numbers say?
Well, the data is actually pretty incredible. Study after study shows that when schools really implement PBIS, they see these huge drops in things like detentions and suspensions. Even bullying goes down. And it makes sense, right? If you're busy teaching and rewarding the good stuff, there's just less bad stuff to punish.
And get this, it doesn't stop with behavior. It turns out, when you have a calmer classroom where kids feel seen and supported, surprise, surprise, they learn better. The academics actually go up, too.
So when you zoom out, the big picture here is that PBIS isn't just another program or a new rule book. What we're really talking about is changing the entire culture of a school, shifting it away from a cycle of punishment and toward one of prevention, teaching, and real support for every single student.
And that really leaves you with a huge question to think about, doesn't it? What if school wasn't just a place that punished bad behavior, but a place that actively taught good behavior, with the same focus we give to reading and math?
Just think about what that simple shift could really truly change.